So Nathan Langton, welcome. Obviously, you work with Ping.
Thanks,
That's
Sam.
kind of self-evident with your background there. So welcome to the Night is Anarchy series. I'm glad to have you on. This is pretty awesome. I'm just starting doing the whole interview stuff, so I'm really stoked that you came on board.
Great to be
So
on.
to start out, why don't you kind of tell us you're a group product manager at Ping? Why don't you tell us kind of what that means and what you do?
Yeah, sure. Like you said, Nathan Langton. I've been at Ping for just over 10 years now. My recent role is a group product manager, which essentially means I've been around for a little bit, and I manage a team of product managers that focus on our orchestration solution.
Okay.
My background with Ping is quite different. I've started in the engineering side as a developer, then as a dev manager, and then I kind of moved to the product side about midway in my tenure with Ping. And on the product side, I've been managing our integrations library for both on-prem Ping Fed as well as our cloud platform. And then I moved into our authentication cloud strategy and product management before taking on orchestration as my most recent role over the last few years.
That's awesome. So you are an actual techie. So you understand what's going on under the hood. You're not just, hey, you know what would be cool? And then all the developers are like, this is impossible.
Yeah, I had that advantage. I've kind of come from that side, and so getting in meetings with engineering is always fun. I still stay plugged in, even though I've got a group around me. We enjoy those architecture discussions, figuring out what's the most optimal way to kind of spin up our environments. But yeah.
So when you say that you're the product manager for around orchestration, so the tool obviously DaVinci, but is it more than just that? Like, what does Ping view orchestration as?
Yeah, so it is DaVinci, and we consider it an identity orchestration tool. Obviously, orchestration is an overloaded term. I think many
Yeah,
people use it use that in
everyone
the
has a different
industry.
definition. So what's yours?
Exactly.
What's orchestration to you?
Yeah, so I like to tell people, I see these like orchestration market into three categories. And, like you said, like you ask 9 people, you get 9 different answers.
Yeah.
I see the SOARs industry or SOARs orchestration engines, which, deal with incident response kind of playbooks. And I see business task automation. And then I see identity orchestration. And, we try to distinguish that we play in the identity orchestration, which is building out user identity journeys around authentication, registration,
So if
and
you were to
other.
explain this to your mom, what would you say?
I love explaining to my mom. I was like, Mom, whenever you log in, when you log into a website, that's a journey. You're on a
Yeah.
journey to get access to something. And I create the tools that allow you to build out that experience in an easy way.
Okay,
So
cool.
yeah, it's you always like remind your mom, like, you have to log into Gmail or Facebook or your bank. I was like, that underlying mechanism to keep you secure is what I
Yeah,
built.
because a lot of people think like, oh, when I log in, I put in my username and password, I click login, all of a sudden I'm in the site. They have no idea what's actually happening behind the scenes. So why
That's
don't you take
right.
us through like a crazy complex journey that you've seen before for just something as simple as login, but what's actually happening under the hood?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you can get pretty crazy behind the scenes there. I've seen a recent example, and this is more of an onboarding example, more than an authentication example, but an
Mhm.
onboarding example that takes in user information like context to where you're located, and based on your region, it decides what kind of verification tools it's going to use to match your profile information that you've entered in. So if you're in North America versus Europe versus Asia, it's got this company has a set of different third-party verification tools that it feels is best suited to those markets. In some cases, multiple tools that it uses. And that kind of speaks to the power of orchestration, in my opinion, where you can feed in some context through the onboarding process. You can then take that information that's been entered into like a registration form, and based on that context, such as your geolocation, throw together a series of verification behind the scenes kind of events that take place. Ensure that those profile, that user is kind of verified, and kind of normalize that response, send it back, and proceed with the journey of getting access.
So with the DaVinci tool, The only two real, like I would say, I don't even know if competitors are, but the similar tools that are out there in the market would be like Strata. They have an orchestrator tool, their Mavericks tool, and then ForgeRock. I guess I'm just we'll continue to say ForgeRock, I guess, until mid 2024, as I'm hearing. So ForgeRock has their autonomous ID tool as well for their orchestration. So how does DaVinci kind of compare and contrast, and what are kind of your benefits that you see at DaVinci over the other tools? Let's start just with that. Let's not get too heavy.
Yeah, sure. We see other tools in the market too, like not just ForgeRock and Strata, but also like Transmit and even Auth0 and stuff. I think first of all, with ForgeRock, we're excited about this marriage. I think it's awesome that two leaders in the market are coming together to serve our customers in a much more better way, and we're excited.
Do you know? Are you going to be able to take advantage of their AI stuff for their risk detection?
I don't know what we're going to take advantage of, but I'm sure the answer is yes.
Okay.
I think it's early days, but we're excited. I think our CEO has kind of expressed his excitement, and I think it'll be good all around for our customers going forward. So as far as our advantage that we see, one of the advantages that we see with DaVinci over some of our competitors, that it continues to be an open platform. So it's not something that's kind of married into our existing portfolio.
So when you say open, not open source, right?
Not open source. Yeah. I'm meaning that you could come to Ping and you could buy DaVinci without buying our directory or our protocol engine or any one of our products, our MFA or risk product. We're truly an open kind of orchestration tool that doesn't force you to buy everything that we offer, which allows us to kind of get in with customers and say, hey, you don't need to strip out what you're using today. You could use DaVinci, our orchestration tool, alongside your existing homegrown solution or even third-party solution. Likewise, say you are using PingOne for protocol support and directory support, but you may not be using MFA or risk with us. You have that full flexibility. We've left it an open platform. We support competitor MFA risk, a number of third-party services on our platform. We'll continue to do that just to offer the most broad integration catalog out there. Right now, I think the last number I got was we have over 3,000 capabilities or nodes that you can drag onto the canvas, which translate to an action.
And a node is anything from like make an external API call it to PingFed for something, connect to a third-party tool for a decision made from there. Like it's just all kinds, it's a whole gamut of things.
Exactly, a whole gamut of things. We like to count them as nodes or capabilities because that kind of is the true
connector
power.
Scares everyone from the identity space.
Yeah, well, and we still use the word connectors, but the thing is, I can configure, let's just say a Duo connector or a threat metrics connector, but really it's a connector that is a package of capabilities, and there could be about 10 or so capabilities in that connector, which each translate to like a node you drag onto the canvas. And as you said, it could be some processing or third-party callouts, some action.
That UI for the flow development is awesome. Like it works so well. I've seen so many people try to make the whole no code, low code, we're going to drag and drop everything, but the DaVinci tool really works a lot. But at the same time, you're going the whole no code, low code. So if you want heavy customization, all of a sudden, to me, that's where DaVinci has the pitfalls. It's like, okay, we make it very easy from a superficial visual standpoint, but from a low-level developer or engineer that's been tasked with crazy requirements from the client, so we've had issues like we can't import those external JavaScript files and CSS files for our UI development. What kind of progress are you guys planning on making in the next few years to kind of enhance this tool so clients are really just like, man, this thing just runs? Like where are you going from there?
Yeah, good point at all. It's interesting to know, and just on the no code, low code, we love to say no code, low code. Really, it's low code, to be honest. You can make very simple use cases with no code, but no one's got a simple use case to
Right. Exactly. It's great for a demo.
That's right. And we have one of our most common nodes that you throw onto a canvas is the custom script node
Yeah.
or the
insert your code here.
exactly, or the custom HTTP callout, which you have to configure in many ways, and put it like an schema object in it to knows what it gets back. But those are some highly used capabilities. On the developer front, there's a number of things that we want to kind of build out. One is we know that customers are using DaVinci for many different ways, and we want to stay flexible. Some want the easy button approach where they've got just their branding is just in Ping One. You change a logo, change coloring. Ping One will host the branding and present
what percentage would you say is that? Like where they just all they want to do is swap the logo, they're good enough with that?
Yeah, it's a high percentage on the workforce side,
okay.
a lower
Makes
percentage on the SIAM side, and orchestration really plays well, I think even better on the SIAM side, because you got those customized use cases. We're seeing on the SIAM side, a lot of our customers are actually using our custom HTML, CSS nodes in the canvas. So they would drag them in, they would throw their own HTML and CSS in.
But if I want to use like Twitter Bootstrap, how do I do that?
Yeah, so one of the things that we want to do is we want to offer SDKs that allow you to decouple your UI outside of DaVinci, be able to have that full flexibility as a developer outside of DaVinci, and then execute that flow with an SDK that allows you to traverse the flow and communicate back and forth.
That would be big.
Yeah, so that will be huge. I see, we've got a widget that is very powerful that you can embed in a page. And what we may also do there is extend that widget to allow that back and forth interaction. So you can pause on a flow, present your own UI. Right now, the widget presents the UI that's created in the flow, but we want to give you that decoupling option. You can do it today with DaVinci. It's just API calls, and it's a little more challenging. And we want the simple approach. The simple approach is SDKs and widgets.
I love the idea of separating the front end from the back end. Like it just makes from a developer. I mean, especially in the enterprise world, it's whole different teams that are doing your front end versus your back end, right?
Exactly, and those are all options we want to have. Like we see DaVinci in 2-3 years. We're already seeing it today. In fact, is it's table stakes for anyone that's implementing identity in their organization. In fact, I was on a call with an analyst yesterday, and we referred back to what this analyst said 2 years ago, where they said something like 60% of all projects are going to require orchestration by 2024. Well, now yesterday they said it's not table stakes. Most customers that come to an identity vendor like Ping or one of our competitors require it. It's so powerful that it's there. So we want to see this as being foundational to every sale. And to do that, we need the flexibility of Ping Federate. If you guys know the flexibility of Ping Federate, we need that flexibility in the cloud with our orchestration solution. So we need to offer many ways to do similar things. Like, so with the UI, we need that decoupling approach, but we're also going to maintain that, you can build it in the flow if you want, or you can use our hosted branding if you want.
So in my personal experience, a lot of these enterprises don't even know what orchestration is. Like they've never even heard of it. Yeah. And so it's like, for me, it always starts out of education. It's like, oh man, okay, I got to start at the very beginning. I just learned about orchestration like a year and a half ago, maybe close to 2 years now is when I first heard the word and was demoed it out. So, and that's all I do is live and breathe identity, right? So for these guys where they're not, what are you guys doing to kind of educate just as orchestration as a whole, and not like you need to buy our tool, but look, this is an entirely new wing of identity that you need to be paying attention to?
Yeah, good question, because no one comes to us and says, hey, I want orchestration.
Yeah, exactly.
Even today, that doesn't happen. And these analysts have confirmed that. It only comes into the conversation when you start talking about the solution. And solutions today are complex. They involve multiple third parties, not just your own offerings at Ping. And then you start getting questions about integration and how do I manage all those integrations? How do I build out that in a seamless experience? And that's really when orchestration comes into the picture and kind of is able to be evidence to our customers that it's so powerful to use because it allows you to stitch these things together into that journey rapidly and test it and optimize it in a rapid way. So you're right, it's education. That education often comes about during the conversations with customers. When we talk about the solutions. We never generally pitch, DaVinci and orchestration up front. It's hard to do that. You ask, what's your problem? Here's some solutions. Oh, by the way, we can make this a lot easier if we have orchestration.
So are you finding the majority of Ping DaVinci sales being bundled in? Like people are like, oh, I'm going for Ping Fed, Ping Directory, Ping One, whatever. And then, oh, by the way, here's DaVinci, we'll hook you up so you can play with it to kind of get the brand and the name of the new tool out there.
Yeah, we generally find that. Although we do sell bundles and standalone, and when you look at our DaVinci sales, it's about even between standalone and bundles. But really, the standalone is just the way they purchase it. They may already have a few other Ping products.
So they're like, add this on.
Exactly. They've come late to the party, or maybe they're just starting with it first and then they add other things onto it. But I think generally, orchestration either needs Ping products or third-party products to be useful. Like, because orchestration is just orchestrating third parties and services together in a meaningful way. So, generally a bundle is the best approach for sure. That example I gave you of that onboarding process where they're using different vendors to verify their onboarding experience, they don't actually use any Ping products. They just use DaVinci. That's the only Ping product. So that's an example of where they bought us as a standalone. Obviously, wishful thinking. We want them to use all of us.
I'm seeing that a lot now. Like, I mean, forever, we've been asked, like, let's say like the mid 2000s, late 2000s, everyone say, you'd come to us and say, hey, you're agnostic. What vendors should we buy? What product, what IDM tool, what access tool, whatever. And we say, oh, well, the best IDM tool is this one. It's the back there's like, okay, Sun. And then for access, you probably want SiteMinder. And then for directory, you could use CA's directory. They're great too. And we're like, yeah, these are the best ones. They're like, okay, well, we're just going to buy everything IBM. You're like, well, then why'd you even ask me? And now I think enterprises are a lot more open to being more of like, okay, we'll take the best of breed for this particular vertical. We'll take the best. They're no longer saying, hey, we're just going to have that one throat to choke. We really do want to have the best suite available.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I think orchestration is key to our industry, because in doing that, you need something that pieces everything together. Unless you want to play old school and code everything from scratch, but no one wants to do that.
Yeah, that's painful. So Ping's also starting to push the idea of NEO, decentralized identity. That's like the new baby of the product, right? That they've just kind of acquired and built out. So how has NEO been integrated into DaVinci? Have you seen that kind of starting to happen on the back end internally within Ping? So I don't think it's really out in the public yet, right?
Not fully, and I think there's a lot of education that's still going around it, and we have some great PMs at Ping that speak at different industry events around it. So I think we're getting there now. NEO is actually two different components that make up that solution. One is a verified component, and the second is a credentialing component.
Oh, so is Ping Verified ID part of NEO now? Is that, or has it always been that way?
It's always been that way. It's part of the part of the underneath covers behind NEO. It's like two modules that make up the solution called NEO. And yes, you could utilize that with DaVinci. One of the things that they're looking at is how do they leverage DaVinci for different third-party actions that occur within their newest NEO solution. You find that generally across Ping is all of our new offerings are ensure that they have a connection with our orchestration tool. And not only that, ensuring that they have productized flows for some of the common use cases that those tools, those new products offer. So right now we have a library, like a marketplace library. You can go to our Ping site and kind of check it out there. It's where you see a listing of all connectors, integrations, flows across all of our products. And you can kind of filter on DaVinci, filter on templates.
Do you allow customers to rate those things? So they can be like, this one doesn't work for shit. This one's amazing. Like...
we don't. maybe for now it's a good thing. I don't know. But that's what we've talked about. Like we want, my vision for especially orchestration
Yeah.
is community contributed connectors and
Okay.
flows.
Yeah.
So I would love to see like you being able to contribute like a flow that you've built for maybe a customer that that you've kind of maybe genericized,
Yeah.
and you want to share out to the identity community. You publish it to our library. You kind of see a little tag there saying this is community contributed, maybe your name or something like that. And it's just kind of sharing the wealth of information around usage
Yeah.
of
I
this.
think
And
it'll
that's
grow
the
faster
vision.
if you allow people to do that for sure.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you've seen the MGM hack that everyone's been talking about, the cybersecurity thing, and Okta's name
Yeah.
has been brought into that. And there's been some confusion just because Okta's the SSO tool they're using, but it wasn't actually Okta that caused the fault. But this really highlights that identity management tools, from the access perspective especially, are definitely being targeted by the more advanced modern hackers. So
Yeah.
DaVinci, not saying in itself, but I guess the orchestration layer is going to be this whole new wing, right? So hackers finally
Yeah.
figured out you get into the identity tool, you own everything. So if they realize, hey, from an orchestration layer, if you get in, you can compromise that orchestration layer, you can control authentication and authorization for everyone. That seems like a new attack vector that people are going to start probing. Have you seen anyone or anything about there like starting to attack that kind of stuff? Have there been new security mechanisms put in place for new attack vectors we've never seen before?
Yeah, I'm not saying anything new and out of the ordinary, but it's something that we're very aware of, and it's something that our security team internally is very aware of, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the entry points to a tool like DaVinci are your protocol engine, your APIs, and then within invoking a flow, obviously you're leveraging different service APIs. So a lot of the tools that we put in place to monitor and protect are there by default because we're using the protocol engines that exist today. We haven't recreated that, or we're using our API framework that already exists today. So in many ways, we're already set up for monitoring and for observing these kind of attacks. And hats off to our security team and our infrastructure team. As they work hard through this. I think a lot of this is also a good reason why every customer needs some sort of like protection when it comes to either fraud or risk management, and they need layered protection for sure.
Yeah.
I think gone are the days where you can kind of pick a vendor and be happy with it and that's going to protect you. I think you need to look at many different layers.
This most recent hack was primarily social engineering. That's how they got in,
Yeah.
right? Is there any way that an orchestration tool could be used to help prevent social engineering attacks like phishing, spear phishing, all that kind of fun stuff, all the different phishings that we have out there? How could DaVinci help a help desk not reset someone's 2FA if it's not actually them?
Yeah, obviously a tough problem, especially when it comes to social engineering. I think in that flow of resetting a password, because you now have flexibility to build that out yourself, you have flexibility to build in as many checks as you can into that journey. And this is when it comes down to making sure that you've designed things well with security in mind. Not just me as being the guy who doesn't have a security background in developing this flow for someone, making sure that you've put a lot of thought into it. You've got enough checks in this to check to see the location, IP, whatever it may be. And
Well, I mean, if you just take, I literally just thinking this as we're talking, with just Ping's tools, you could really just make a flow for, okay, the help desk to use to reset MFA, reset passwords. But you can say, hey, look, if this person has privileged account access, like they have the admin access to the AD domain, or they have admin access to the Ping, cloud control, whatever, then they are forced to do a verifiable credential authentication of some kind, right? Like you need to scan your face and show me you are this person. I don't care what you say to me, and the system will allow me to do it until that face scan has been provided. Like, have you created any flows like that for anybody?
That's right. There's enough mechanisms in our orchestration layer to do those checks. Like you have the ability to look up a user's identity and figure out, what groups they're a part of, what kind of person this is, and what kind of access do they typically get, are allowed to. and make decisions in that journey based on that and based on risk posture. So like you said, we have the mechanisms for you to build that, and to protect yourself there in many ways, including third parties, not just ping products, which I think are great in
right
itself.
Now, if you came out with a press release like, hey, look, here's how DaVinci could have prevented the MGM social engineering attack using our tool suite the whole way through, I think you might get a new casino as a client.
Hey, you never know. I'm sure marketing is on top of that.
But
yeah,
I'm out of questions. Is there anything you want to plug or talk about that's awesome and exciting that's going on in the orchestration DaVinci ping world?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that I think I want to plug. One is we're continuously building out some functionality around form building. So if you didn't know, we have, for the easy button approach, we have a WYSIWYG tool for building forms that you can drag and drop, and you can build out a sign-on registration.
Do you think people will use that? I mean, I'm not trying to poo-poo on your parade, but most in the enterprise, they have a design team that says, you know, I want it to look just like this.
Yeah.
Can you do that with your WYSIWYG tool?
Well, it depends on the requirements, but you'd be surprised how many even large customers that have ample resources from the outside don't have dedicated developers on their team, or to get them would take 6 months to line up. And they want something quick for a login page with that.
So this is like a good enough, like, hey, this, we can get this until we have whatever later.
Exactly. Yeah. And you know, although this tool has been released in the last few months, we already have quite a few production customers. We went early beta, and we have 3 on early beta, and now it's live about, I think, 2 or 3 months ago, and we've got quite a few more. So we're continuously adding like MFA capabilities. We've got custom buttons, custom links. What you can do is when you build in when you drag in a custom button, custom link in your DaVinci flow, you can map it, which allows you to take different paths in your DaVinci flow. So that's cool. That's coming out. Another one that I want to plug, and this is probably one of our hottest releases this week. This is a new passwordless solution that's been released, and you can go to our
I love passwordless. I'm excited. Yeah. What is it?
You can go to our Ping Identity website, and you'll see it's kind of splashed right on the front page there. But it's essentially DaVinci powered. It's a set of, I think, 13 or so different flows that offer anything from allowing you to go from the password to passwordless transition. When it comes to risk-based authentication,
what's
FIDO
doing
passkeys.
The passwordless? Oh, okay, FIDO, and so got you.
Yeah, like FIDO passkeys. It also includes stuff like QR codes, magic links. We've got all these flows pre-built for you, including a nice wizard to get started, and then obviously you can take that and customize the crap out of it, right? With DaVinci. Awesome. But it's a new kind of release. Check it out. It's on our landing page as of, I think, yesterday or the day before. Nice.
Well, hey, this is perfect timing.
Perfect. Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, hey, I appreciate you coming on. This has been awesome. I love hearing the in-depth what's going on in the products behind the scenes, because I think that's when we really find out, because the team behind it is very much important, more than just the product itself, right? Because like everyone knew, like CA, that's where products went to die. They just stopped development. So like to see you guys continuing development after the acquisition of Singular Key, like that's awesome. That just goes to show that if people buy this product, it's not going to stagnate, right? They're going to have that continued development. I think that's super important. So I really appreciate your time. This has been awesome.
Thanks, Adam.
Man. Thank you.
It's been great. Okay.
Cool.
Have a good one.
I'll see you around. Have a good one. Thanks, man. Have a good night. Bye.